Hello, everyone. So, in this episode, we're going to set up the character basic movement, uh, a static camera, and a camera that rotates, and also a system so you can basically click on your trigger spot, find a nice location for the camera by using a viewport, pressing a button, and updating the camera's location. So, let's get started. So, I'm using the latest Unreal Engine 5.6 for this. So, first thing we're going to do is in the content drawer, I'm going to find the third person character. And there's a few changes we need to make in here. So the first thing will be the character movement. We're going to search for controller and we want use controller desired rotation. Enable that. Next thing we want is we click the third person character itself. We want to enable use controller rotation yaw. And that just means that we will be using the left and right from the controller, and we can then use a different node to actually move the character. So we want to come here and just remove this. If you're using Unreal Engine 5 to 5.5, this should be the same, but these nodes are new. They're just functions. So it should be okay. So on this move, what we're going to do is we're going to say on the X, we want to actually round this here. I'm just going to quickly enable the plugin just to help me with it. And there we go. And if you're wondering what I installed or loaded up, it's this here, electronic nodes. And it's just so that the lines that connect the blueprints are a bit more easier to read. Okay, next on triggered, we are going to add controller yaw input. And the value here, we're going to take this round, we're going to multiply, and we're going to add another pin here. So we have 3 pins in total, and then change these both to float. Pop that in there. So this first one, we're going to make into a variable, and this is going to be the rotation speed. And the one below it, we're going to get world delta seconds. And this just means that the movement speed is going to be not separate from the FPS. If you don't have this, what can happen is if you're at a high FPS, your character will move quicker. If you're at low FPS, your character will move slower. This just makes it so it's a constant speed. The rotation speed, during my testing, I found 90 to be quite good. If we try this now, if I hold the button to turn, you'll see my character is now turning like this. Like the world is rotating with the player, which is what we want. Okay, the next thing we are going to do for the Y. So next is we're going to add movement input. And for this, the world direction, we're going to get control rotation. Then we're going to split the struct. We want the yaw. We're going to make rotator. Then get forward vector and put that into the world. The scale is going to come from Y, and we're going to do the same. We're going to round it just so it's rounded up and then put it back in like that. So now if we try, yeah, we're walking backwards. We shouldn't be. So let's see. Maybe it's. Oh, I see what I've done. I've connected the yaw to a different thing. I want yaw to yaw. So we go forward and backwards, and then we can turn on the spot like this. So we have the rough setup for tank controls. And what we could do then is later on we'll set it up so it's more traditional tank controls, which is you can't run a circle like this. You would have to move like this and then do forward. But we're going to do that later when we do controller support. So there's our tank controls basically. The next thing is going to be setting up the camera system. So let's do that. Okay, so let's get working on the cameras. So I'm just going to create a new folder in the content drawer. We're just going to call this, let's call it Retro Horror. We'll put all the stuff that we're going to make in these videos in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a camera folder. Then in here, we're going to come to a blueprint class. We're going to create a different class than, and what we're going to type in here is editor utility actor here. So we're going to call this BP underscore camera setter. And what this is going to allow us to do is we'll be able to put our cameras in the world or our objects, click a button and it'll set the correct location. So in the event graph, I'm going to create a new custom event called get location. And then this custom event, you make sure you click it and then click call in editor like this. You'll now see it's got a new icon here. We're going to right click and do Unreal Editor Subsystem. This get level viewport camera information. What this does is it gets this camera that we have here and then we find the location of it. Then we're going to create a new variable called camera transform, and we're going to give it a form. Then we're going to set, and we're going to split the camera transform and just hook these up like that. And then what we then need to do is we need to create an interface for this. So we can do that now. And let's create folder faces. And I'm just going to create one called BPI underscore helpers. Because this is just one, like, you may not use it very often and it's just nice to have things. I'm going to call it use widget. Now we can come to class settings and actually implement the interface. We can call, and then bottom left here, actually there's one thing we haven't done, which is on the use widget, we need some outputs. We need two. Top one will be a vector. The bottom will be a rotation. It's rotator, sorry. We can do location and rotation. So now if we come to use widget, so we double click it to bring it in, we can set these values. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically copy what we've done here. We're just going to grab these two nodes, just put them in here like that. That's all we need to do here. Now we can actually make the camera itself. So we can do blueprint class and actor, do BP underscore static camera. So in here, what we're going to do, first thing is we're going to do a box collision. And we can just call this camera. Then we need a child actor and also a camera. So the child actor, what we're going to do is we're going to click on it and set the child actor to our setter. So what we can do is we can custom event, set up camera location, set this to call in editor as well, like this. And then we are going to grab the child actor, get child actor, and then call use widget. This. And then from here, we're going to grab the camera, do set world location and rotation, and just connect this. If we try it now, here you can see I've dragged on in the world. You'll see the camera and everything. And now on the right, we have this button. If I move here and click this, the camera has now moved up here and the trigger box is here. It just makes it a lot easier to set these up. So what we could do is, I can show it in a little bit. Next thing in the construction script, what we're going to do is just grab the camera trigger, do set box extent, promote this to a variable, and then click the little eye here to make it public. And basically what that means is when we click on the camera, we can now change the size of the box collision here. By default, let's give it a value just so it shows up. We can do 32, 30. Move this. Or we put a new one in it. Okay, next is to get all the stuff in this so actually works. We need to create another this. We're going to call this BPI. So come into BPI cameras, and we're going to create a few functions in here. Some we may not use yet, but they'll come into later videos. First one is clear old camera. Then we need a switch camera. Camera needs to have an input, the actor, and it should be a soft actor. So we can do latest camera like that. Then we need a follow camera. That one will be later on. We need get last camera. Going to actor. We call camera actor the input. And then one more. We're going set new camera. And then the same. It's new camera actor. So let's set this up. So static camera, we are going to grab the camera trigger and we're going to say on begin of. And we're going to do an equals on the other actor, and then we're going to get player character. So we're going to check if the player is overlapping these cameras. The branch. If it's true, what we're going to do is then we are going to clear old camera, because the player is going to have this. And then we're going to set new camera. The new camera will be self. this. And then we will get player controller, set view target with blend. So we basically change the target, the player's camera, and that should be a reference to itself. We're going to add a variable called should rotate question mark, and make that we need to set up if we're going to have the camera to rotate, which we will. So we're going to have a new custom event called rotate camera. On this, we're going to grab the camera. They're going to set world rotation. The new rotation, we're going to get player character, get actor location, and then find look at rotation. That needs to be the target. Then we can grab the camera. We can say get world location and put that into the start. We want to split the return value on there here, and we want to connect the pitch and the yaw. We don't care about the roll. That's the rotation done. Next is on event tick. We're going to do a branch and check for should rotate, and if it's true, then we can call camera. Tick. So let's give that a shot. Let's see what happens. So if we play now, we run over here where the camera was. So there we go. We swap camera. That is the rotate camera. So let's change this one here to the not rotate, and then we'll change the angle. So we'll have something like here. And then for this one will be the rotate, and that starting angle can be maybe here. Set up that. If we try it now, if we run down here, we go, and if we continue over here, now we have this rotate. And if we want to set this up so by default, so say if we drag this, and by default we want a camera setup, what we can do is we can set this extent to really small and basically hide the trigger here. But what we can do is set up camera location. So if you know that this is going to be the spot in the world, we can go into the level blueprint, and with this camera selected, we can right click, camera selected, no I don't, so it's this one. We can create a reference, and on begin play, we can get player controller, and we can set view target with a blend and put that in like so. And now if I press play, there we go. And in the next couple of episodes, what we'll set up is a way that we will basically save the cameras we've interacted with, so that if we then load the game up later on, it will actually take the previous camera from the save game instead of starting this fresh one. But this is just a very basic setting up the player character to use sort of tank controls. Oh, there's one thing we need to do. Silly me. Which is in the third person character. So this lock here. So this is 5.6 and it's split it up. All we need to do for this is untick the mouse lock. like this, and now the mouse no longer works. Previous versions of Unreal, I think if I check in my other project, let's see. I think it's just called IA_lock. You can just unpin that in the same way, and it will do this. So you'll no longer have the mouse controlled. So in the next episode of this series, we're gonna add all the things from old Resident Evil, Silent Hill games. I can show you a rough. This is my personal project that I've been working on. So if we come in here and look, ignore the jittery jumping. It's something weird with 5.6, and I need to fix it. So we have like doors that have different things. We have the teleporting doors. There is an inventory system that I've done a previous tutorial on, but I'm going to refine it for this, which is this type of inventory. And then we have a note system that can switch between notes. Then we have like a thing where we can look at objects up close, and I also have a weapon system that I will implement. So I hope you found this useful, and this is going to be part of my ongoing series that we're going to slowly build a retro horror game together. If you want to support me, I've recently been accepted as a YouTube partner, and you should be able to get memberships and things like that. I haven't tried it out before. I also have a Patreon that I'll be posting these files for this version currently on. And I think as the project goes on, there'll be a GitHub link that you can just pull from every lesson, in a sense, to see it done. What I'm going to do is I will go back through and comment all this, and then create a document as well to go along with it, explaining what everything is. So I hope you found this useful, and I'll see you in the next episode.